My name is Rosemary, and if someone had told me that my deepest heartbreak at 32 wouldn't come from a failed relationship or a collapsed career deal, but from the lips of my own sister in front of our entire family, I would have laughed at the absurdity. Yet here I am, replaying 6 cruel words that shattered not only my pride but decades of silent sacrifice. Nobody needs your money or you. It happened on a chilly Connecticut evening at my father's 65th birthday party. The kind of small-town gathering where the scent of apple pie clung to the air and framed photographs of fishing trips and neighborhood barbecues lined the walls. Amanda, my younger sister, had decorated the condo beautifully, balloons, candles, flowers arranged as though she were staging one of her salon's Instagram reels. She looked like she always did when she wanted the world's admiration: flawless hair, floral dress, charm turned up to its maximum setting. I had flown in from New York carrying a gift that I thought would be unforgettable: 2 first-class tickets for Dad to finally see Europe, the continent he had always dreamed of visiting but never had the money for. When he opened the envelope, his eyes widened with genuine joy, and for one fragile moment, I felt the bond of family outweigh the distance I had built through long hours and skyscraper meetings. But then, in front of everyone, our parents, uncles, neighbors, and Dad's oldest friends, Amanda's smile froze. She slammed a wine bottle onto the table so hard that red liquid splashed onto the white cloth. And her words fell like a hammer. Nobody needs your money or you. The room went silent. Forks hovered in mid-air. The air seemed to thicken until even breathing felt heavy. I wanted to defend myself. To scream that every paycheck, every sleepless night, every sacrifice had been for her. For us. For this family. Instead, humiliation seared my face, and I could only manage a whisper: "Happy birthday, Dad." Then I gathered my purse and left. Out in the cold air, I half expected footsteps to follow me, a hand on my shoulder, someone, anyone, to say, "We know your worth." No one came. Back at my hotel, I collapsed on the stiff mattress, designer blazer still clinging to me like armor that had suddenly turned into chains. The ceiling fan spun lazily above as I pressed my phone to my ear and called Sarah, my old college roommate and the only person who had ever cut through my walls with blunt truth. "After everything you've done for her?" Sarah's voice carried outrage when I explained. "Rose, she's rewriting history." "What if she's right?" I whispered. "What if I've been throwing money at them because I didn't know how to show up?" There was a pause. Then Sarah's tone hardened. "You need to know something. Last year I ran into your cousin Lily at a finance conference in Chicago. She told me Amanda has been claiming she built everything on her own, that she's the one supporting your parents. That you're just the workaholic who doesn't care about family." The words punched me in the gut. I opened my laptop and searched Amanda's social media. There it was. Photo after photo of her salon. Her brand new Jeep. Her smiling face under captions like, "No handouts. Just hard work and determination." Comments flooded with praise for her self-made empire. Not a single mention of the checks I had written, the mortgage I had co-signed, the Jeep I had bought. Anger mixed with heartbreak. And I turned to the one thing that had always given me clarity: numbers. Late into the night I combed through bank statements and loan agreements. The truth hit hard. Legally, the Jeep was still in my name. The salon's downtown mortgage listed me as the primary borrower. I wasn't just the invisible hand behind Amanda's success. I was the actual legal backbone of it. Nearly $300,000 had flowed from my accounts into hers over the years. All under the promise of family loyalty. All unacknowledged. I sat cross-legged on the bed, surrounded by printouts and glowing screens. My pulse steadying into something colder than grief: resolve. If Amanda wanted to declare to the world that she needed nothing from me, I would finally take her at her word. I picked up my phone, opened our message thread, and typed slowly, deliberately. "I've canceled the salon mortgage payments and arranged for the Jeep to be repossessed. Both are legally in my name. After what you said tonight, I assume you no longer want my financial involvement. I am respecting that." Before I could lose my nerve, I hit send. Then I blocked her number. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful, it was deafening. Like the calm before a storm that everyone knows is coming. For the first time in decades, The little sister I had vowed to protect would have to stand without me. The next morning, Amanda's picture-perfect life unraveled in the most public way possible. It was a Tuesday, usually the busiest day at Blush and Blow, her salon in the heart of our small Connecticut town. The lobby bustled with chatter. Curling irons hissed, and the smell of hairspray filled the air. Amanda was in her element, draping foils over Judith Miller's hair, the wife of Riverside Community Bank's manager. One of the town's most influential women. That's when it happened. A tow truck rolled quietly into the back parking lot. It should have gone unnoticed. But Kay, the young shampoo assistant, caught a glimpse through the window. Amanda, Kay called nervously, I think someone's hooking up your Jeep. Amanda excused herself, still wearing her stylist's apron, and rushed to the back door. What she found froze her in place. A man in a gray uniform tightening chains around her gleaming white Jeep Grand Cherokee. The same Jeep she had paraded online with captions about rewarding herself for hard work. What are you doing? She demanded. Her voice sharp, cracking slightly. That's my car. The repo agent barely looked at her. Are you Amanda Harris? Yes, of course. What's going on? He handed her a clipboard. This vehicle is being repossessed on behalf of the legal owner, Rosemary Wilson. Paperwork is in order. For a moment, Amanda stood there, the document trembling in her hand. Behind her, staff and clients gathered at the doorway, whispers rising like smoke. Judith Miller herself had followed, her foil-wrapped head tilted in confusion. There must be some mistake. Amanda stammered, her face flushing crimson. My sister gave me this car 2 years ago. The title says otherwise. The repo man replied with a shrug. I'm just doing my job. The truck roared to life. Chains rattled. The Jeep lifted slowly, the glossy tires leaving the asphalt like a crown slipping from a queen's head. Amanda's chest tightened, her breathing quickened, the carefully curated illusion of being self-made, independent, successful, shattered in full view of employees, customers, and the most judgmental eyes in town. I can't breathe, she gasped, clutching at her chest. Her legs buckled, and she collapsed on the pavement. Within minutes, an ambulance was called. Sirens wailed as paramedics loaded her into the vehicle, Judith Miller's shocked face lingering in the background. Riverside Community Hospital soon admitted Amanda for acute anxiety and dangerously high blood pressure. I didn't find out until later. At that exact moment, I was in my Manhattan office, 20 floors up, sipping burnt coffee while reviewing a market report. My phone buzzed relentlessly, but Amanda's number was blocked. Then came calls from cousins, from mom, even from dad, begging me to explain. Amanda is hysterical. Rose, what did you do? Mom's voicemail cracked with panic. Dad's voice was harsher. Family doesn't destroy family. And then Jackson's emails started arriving. Please from a man who had never once contacted me directly. Rosemary, please, call me. The salon is everything to her. This has gone too far. I ignored them all. That night, though, my resolve wavered. I sat in the dark of my apartment, city lights glowing through the windows, and pulled up the digital records again. $300,000, mortgage payments, car title, bank transfers. My sister's voice echoed in my head. Nobody needs your money or you. Thomas's text arrived near midnight. You went too far. She's broken. The whole town is talking. Come fix this. I stared at those words, my throat tightening. Had I gone too far? Was this justice or cruelty? Amanda had lied to me. To Jackson. To our parents. To the town. She had built an empire on my money while branding me as an absent sister who bought affection with checks. And yet, now that empire was in ashes. And the flames threatened not just her but her employees. Her marriage. Her reputation. Justice or cruelty? The line blurred until I could no longer tell the difference. I closed my laptop and stood by the window, watching Central Park below, somewhere hundreds of miles away. My sister lay in a hospital bed, her perfect image crumbling, her pride crushed. For the first time in years, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow. When I finally boarded a flight back to Connecticut, I told no one. The storm of family calls and messages had become unbearable, each one tugging at me in a different direction. Mom begging for peace. Dad fuming at my pettiness. Jackson alternating between desperation and anger. If I had announced my trip, the entire clan would have been waiting at the gate, ready to corner me. Instead, I landed quietly on a gray afternoon. Rain streaking the airport windows like the tears I had been too proud to shed. I didn't drive to Amanda's house right away. Instead, I went to Riverside Community Hospital, where I knew Dad volunteered every Wednesday in the patient library. He was there, pushing a cart of large print novels, glasses perched on his nose. For a second, I hesitated. He looked older, more fragile than I remembered. His shoulders stooped with the weight of decades of family burdens. Dad, I said softly. He turned, startled, his eyes flickering between relief and resentment. Rosemary, I didn't expect you back here so soon. Can we talk? I gestured to a quiet reading corner. He hesitated, then nodded curtly, following me like a man walking to a jury he didn't trust. We sat across from each other, the smell of disinfectant sharp in the air. How is she? I asked. His face hardened. How do you think? She can't show her face in town. The salon is on the verge of closing. She hasn't eaten properly in days. You did this. I swallowed. I'm sorry it came to this. But have you asked yourself why she would humiliate me in front of everyone? Why she would tell the world she didn't need my money while secretly taking it? Dad bristled. She was upset. People say things they don't mean when they're upset. Upset? I leaned forward. She's been telling people for years that she built her business from nothing. That she supports you and Mom while I, sit in New York counting my millions? She erased me. Dad, she erased everything I gave. Everything I sacrificed. That can't be true. I pulled out my phone and opened Amanda's Instagram page. Scrolling through photo after photo. Amanda posing with the Jeep. Amanda standing proudly in front of the downtown salon. Captions. Self-made. No handouts. Built from scratch. Dad's jaw tightened, but he tried one last defense. She was saving face. No one wants to admit they needed help. There's a difference between privacy and deception. I said, my voice steady. She humiliated me in front of you. And not one person, not you. Not Mom, stood up for me. Your silence felt like agreement. For a long moment, we sat in silence. Finally, Dad rubbed the bridge of his nose. Even if what you say is true, was scorched earth really the answer? Is money more important than family? I felt those words pierce me. But I forced myself to respond. No, Dad, respect is. Honesty is. I gave Amanda everything she ever asked for. Never once demanded repayment, just acknowledgement. Instead, she painted me as the villain and herself as the hero. That wasn't family. That was betrayal. His shoulders slumped, the fight draining from him. Go see her, he muttered. If there's anything left to fix, fix it face to face. Not through banks and repo men. I nodded, though my chest tightened. I wasn't sure there was anything left to fix. Later that evening, I drove slowly through the streets of our hometown. Past the high school where I had been valedictorian. Past the ice cream shop where Amanda and I used to split Sundays when I was 14 and she was 12. Each landmark was a ghost, whispering of a time before bitterness grew like ivy between us. When I finally pulled up to Amanda's ranch-style house, the driveway was empty. No Jeep, no warm glow of pride. I knocked, half expecting silence. After a long pause, the door creaked open. Amanda stood there, almost unrecognizable. Her hair hung limp, dark circles rimmed her eyes. And she wore an oversized sweatshirt that swallowed her frame. She looked less like the glamorous salon owner of Instagram and more like the little sister I remembered, lost. Fragile, wounded. Come to survey the wreckage? She asked bitterly. Her voice raw from either crying or silence. Can I come in? I asked quietly. She didn't answer, just stepped aside, letting me into a living room cluttered with takeout boxes and discarded tissues. The blinds were drawn, the air stale. Amanda curled into the corner of the sofa like a child, her arms wrapped around herself. I assume you're here to take the house too, she said flatly. Might as well finish the destruction. I stayed standing. I didn't come to take anything. I came to understand why. She scoffed. Why what? Why you would publicly reject my help while privately depending on it. Why you would build a narrative of being self-made while I was carrying you. Why you would betray me. Amanda. Her laugh was sharp, almost hysterical. Betray you? Do you know what it's like living in your shadow? Everyone talks about Saint Rosemary. The generous, successful big sister. The angel with her checkbook. I never asked for recognition, Rose. But every time you bailed me out, it was a reminder that you won. And I lost. I never thought of it that way. I admitted softly. I just wanted to help. Help, she spat. Help is when someone asks. After a while, your help felt like control. Like I could never escape being your charity case. So yes, I lied. I created my own story. It was the only way I could breathe. Her words cut deeper than any insult. For the first time, I saw how my love had twisted into chains neither of us recognized until it was too late. Then let's start here, I said finally. I can't give you back the Jeep. I won't just resume paying the salon mortgage. But I'll help you restructure. On one condition. You tell the truth. To your staff. To Jackson. To everyone. No more lies. Amanda's eyes flashed. So I have to humiliate myself to save my business? No. You have to be honest. There's a difference. Her face crumpled, and she whispered, almost childlike. I hate that I needed you. I hate that you succeeded while I stayed behind. I hate that mom and dad look at you with pride while I'm just the pretty one who does hair. I sank into the chair across from her, my own voice trembling. And I hate that I thought money could replace showing up. That I bought my way out of being present. The truth, Amanda? I'm not happy either. I have money. I have things. But I don't have what matters. For the first time in years, we looked at each other not as rivals. Not as savior and dependent. But as two broken women bound by blood and years of unspoken pain. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was something. The first crack of light in a wall that had taken decades to build. The next morning, the rain had cleared, and sunlight spilled through Amanda's living room blinds. It illuminated the empty takeout containers and stacks of unopened mail. The kind of silent evidence that life had spiraled out of control. I brewed a pot of stale coffee in her kitchen, my hands trembling as though I was about to sit down with a client for a negotiation. Except this time the stakes weren't money. They were my sister's dignity and whatever remained of our bond. Amanda shuffled in wearing the same oversized sweatshirt. Her eyes were swollen, but there was a flicker of determination in them I hadn't seen in days. You said restructure. What does that even mean? It means no more blank checks. I replied carefully. No more me carrying you while you pretend you're flying on your own. If I step back in, it has to be on terms that make you independent. Not indebted. She gave a hollow laugh. Independent? I can't even pay next month's rent at the salon. Then we start by cutting the excess. I pulled a notepad from my bag, sliding it across the table. That downtown lease you signed? Triple the cost of your old spot. You moved to a smaller, affordable location. You focus on what brings steady revenue, cuts, color, treatments. No more luxury facades. The Jeep is gone, but you still have Jackson's truck. We make it work. Amanda's jaw clenched, pride wrestling with desperation. So I sell off everything and admit to the world that my so-called empire was built on sand? Yes, I said softly, because that's the only way to rebuild on rock. Over the next week, I became less of a sister and more of a consultant. We met with the bank together. And I negotiated a restructured loan with one key condition, while I would act as guarantor. The payments had to come from the salon's accounts. Not mine. The bank manager, Judith's husband, looked at Amanda with a mixture of skepticism and pity. But finally agreed after seeing our business plan. Amanda sold her designer handbags and jewelry, liquidating the trappings of a life she had once flaunted online. She moved her salon into a smaller, sunlit space 2 blocks away. The kind of place where every square foot mattered. Gone were the velvet couches and gold-framed mirrors. In their place stood simple chairs. Affordable but functional dryers. And handwritten signs that read, honest hair. Honest price. The first day in the new location, Amanda stood outside adjusting the freshly painted sign. Her hands shook as she added a smaller plaque beneath it. The one we had agreed upon together. Rebuilt with help. Rebuilt with honesty. The words weren't flashy, but they were real. For the first time in years, I saw her shoulders lift, not with arrogance, but with relief. At her first staff meeting in the new studio, Amanda addressed the remaining 5 employees. Her voice trembled, but she pushed through. I haven't been honest with you. This business was never built on my own. My sister carried it, and I let pride twist that into lies. Because of me, you've been scared about your jobs, your clients, your future. I am sorry. She swallowed hard. If you stay, I promise you this: transparency, paychecks on time, profit sharing, and a seat at the table when decisions are made. There was silence. Then one of her stylists, a woman named Marcy who had worked with Amanda from the beginning, nodded. If you're really going to run things straight this time, I'll stay. One by one, the others agreed. Meanwhile, Amanda began posting a series of raw, unfiltered updates on Instagram called Rebuild Diary. Gone were the glossy, self-congratulatory captions. Instead, she wrote about selling her handbags to make payroll, about crying over spreadsheets, about learning the hard way that success without honesty is just vanity dressed in designer labels. Jackson, who had spent nights on his cousin's couch after their explosive fight at the hospital, slowly drifted back into the picture. They sat across from each other at their kitchen table one evening. Unpaid bills between them like landmines. Why didn't you trust me with the truth? He asked quietly. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. Because I didn't want you to see me as a failure. You married the bubbly girl with the big dreams, not the woman who couldn't keep her salon afloat without her sister's checkbook. I married you, Jackson said firmly, not your Instagram persona, not your salon. You. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a start. Of course, progress wasn't linear. The first month in the new location, the salon operated at a loss. Suppliers demanded cash up front. Some old clients drifted away, unwilling to trade luxury vibes for honesty. Amanda called me one night sobbing. I can't do this. I should just close it all down. No, I told her. You can. But you need tools, not bailouts. I emailed her a cash flow template I used with startups, 13 weeks of projected expenses and revenue. I taught her how to calculate break-even points, how to adjust pricing based on value rather than vanity. For the first time, she wasn't just leaning on my money, she was learning from my knowledge. And slowly, the tide began to turn. The smaller salon attracted clients who appreciated the sincerity, the fair prices, the genuine care. Amanda wasn't just performing success anymore, she was earning it. Day by day, haircut by haircut. One evening, as we locked up the new studio together, Amanda ran her hand over the plain wooden sign and whispered, almost to herself, "It's not glamorous, but it feels real." I smiled. That's because it is. The turning point came with an act Amanda never would have imagined 6 months earlier, going public. Not with polish or pretense, but with the raw truth. She sat down in the salon one evening after closing. Hair pulled back, no makeup, a phone propped up on a stack of towels. For 2 long minutes she spoke directly to the camera, her voice trembling but her eyes steady. I haven't been honest, she admitted. This salon was built with my sister's help, and I let pride convince me to hide that. I pretended I was self-made when the truth is, I was carried. I betrayed her trust. I betrayed yours. To my staff, to my clients, to my family. If you stay with me, you're staying with someone who is finally choosing honesty. She posted it on Instagram and Facebook. Within hours, the comments section became a battlefield. Some townspeople called her brave for admitting her mistakes. Others accused her of manipulation, of using pity as a marketing tactic. Yet among the flood of opinions, one stood out: Judith Miller, the banker's wife whose foils had been left dangling when the Jeep was towed. She commented, "Honesty takes courage. I'll be booking my next appointment at Blush and Blow." That single endorsement shifted the tone. By the weekend, local gossip columns carried the headline, "From Facade to Fresh Start, Amanda Harris rebuilds her salon on honesty." For once, her name was in the news not as a scandal, but as a story of redemption. Amanda leaned into the new identity. She launched a program called Repair and Reward, offering free hair treatments once a month to women undergoing chemotherapy at the local hospital. The same hospital where she had been admitted for her panic attack now hosted lines of smiling patients grateful for the dignity of a good haircut. The gesture wasn't just charity, it was healing, both for the clients and for Amanda herself. Meanwhile, our family began to stitch together new patterns of connection. On the first Saturday of every month, I blocked off my calendar and drove down from New York. No excuses, no conferences or board meetings more important than family. One Saturday, Dad and I sat by the lake, fishing rods in hand, a thermos of coffee between us. He looked at me and said, "You know, this means more than any trip to Europe." For the first time, I believed him. At the next family dinner, Amanda brought apple pie she had baked herself. Not store-bought, not outsourced. Mom laughed and teased that the crust was too thick. But she ate every bite. The table felt different, lighter, freer, as if the ghosts of unspoken debts and obligations had finally left the room. Even Amanda and Jackson started therapy, sitting across from a counselor who asked them questions neither had dared to voice. Jackson confessed his anger at being kept in the dark. Amanda admitted her terror of being seen as weak. It wasn't an instant fix. But slowly, brick by brick, they rebuilt something sturdier than before. Then came the workshop. It was Amanda's idea, a small community event at the salon titled Money and Family. Boundaries that heal. We didn't expect more than a handful of attendees. But the room filled with people carrying stories eerily similar to ours. Siblings torn apart by loans. Parents resented for favoritism. Friends estranged over unpaid debts. Amanda spoke first. Her voice steady. "I once told my sister 6 words that nearly destroyed us. Nobody needs your money or you. I said it because I was drowning in shame. But the truth is, I did need her, not for her money, but for her presence, her honesty, her belief that I could do this on my own. When it was my turn, I stood and admitted, I used money as a substitute for showing up. I thought checks could replace presence. They can't. The greatest gift isn't solving every problem. It's believing the people you love are strong enough to solve their own." The applause wasn't thunderous, but it was heartfelt. I saw tears in more than one set of eyes. Afterward, as the room emptied, Amanda and I sat side by side on the salon's modest new couch. "You know," she said, "our story is messy, but maybe that's what makes it worth telling. Nobody relates to perfection, but everyone understands broken pieces." I nodded, feeling a weight lift. For the first time, I realized that the 6 cruel words she had thrown at me had sparked the painful, necessary fire that burned away our illusions. That night, as we locked up, Amanda whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on you." And for once, I didn't feel the urge to answer with money. I simply slipped my arm through hers. And we walked into the quiet Connecticut night. 6 months after the disastrous birthday party. Blush and Blow was still standing, not grand, not glittering, but alive. The revenue was modest, but the books were clean. And for the first time, Amanda could point to numbers she had earned with her own sweat instead of my hidden bank transfers. She called me one morning, voice bubbling with cautious excitement. "Rose, we actually made a profit this month. Small, but it's ours. Mine." I could hear the pride. Genuine this time. Not the brittle kind she used to parade online. But progress always attracts temptation. 1 week later, Amanda received an offer from the brand new shopping mall that had opened outside town. They wanted her salon as a luxury anchor kiosk in their beauty wing. A chance to return to the image of success she once craved. The rent was exorbitant. The decor expectations glossy and expensive. The old Amanda would have signed before finishing the sales pitch. She called me, wavering. "What if this is my chance to get back everything I lost? What if I can prove to everyone I belong in the big leagues?" I took a deep breath. "Amanda, I'm not going to decide for you. But ask yourself, does this serve the woman you're trying to be now? Or the image you used to hide behind? Is it about stability? Or about ego?" Her silence stretched long on the line. For the first time, she didn't demand my opinion as validation. She was weighing her own. Meanwhile, our family faced a different kind of test. Dad slipped on the back steps one rainy afternoon, bruising his ribs. It wasn't serious, but it was a reminder of his age. Without hesitation, Amanda and I coordinated a care schedule. She cooked him soups. I took the train down to mow his lawn and fix the loose railing. For once, money wasn't the currency exchanged between us. It was time, presence, and unglamorous tasks that mattered. Amanda's salon soon faced a supply chain crisis. Her hair product distributor doubled prices overnight. 6 months ago, she would have panicked, called me in tears, begged for a bailout. This time, she called her staff into a meeting. Together, they brainstormed a solution, partnering with 3 other local salons to bulk purchase supplies at a discount. It wasn't flashy, but it was smart. Jackson surprised me too. He dusted off his old construction skills and converted his beat-up pickup into a makeshift mobile salon chair for elderly clients who couldn't travel. They called it the Caravan, driving to nursing homes on Sundays to provide cuts and styles for those who had been forgotten. Amanda posted about it, not as a marketing ploy, but as gratitude. For the first time, her captions read less like advertisements and more like diary entries. Then came the decision point. Amanda stood in her small salon one evening, holding the lease contract for the mall kiosk in her hands. "This could put me back on top," she murmured, "but I'd lose everything I've been building." She tore the paper in half. When she told me later, her voice carried no regret. "I don't want to go back, Rose. Not to the person who needed velvet couches and marble floors to feel worthy. I want to build something durable, even if it's small." That night, an email arrived from the Connecticut Small Business Association. They were honoring Blush and Blow for community service and financial transparency. Amanda read it out loud, tears welling in her eyes. But this time they weren't born of shame or anxiety. They were tears of pride, the quiet, grounded kind. For the first time, I didn't see her as the little sister I had to rescue, or the rival who had betrayed me. I saw her as a woman who had been tested, burned, and come out carrying her own torch. By the time autumn rolled around, our family had forged a new ritual, something we called Dad's half-birthday. It wasn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts, it was about showing up. About proving that presence meant more than price tags. This time, instead of glossy tickets to Europe, I handed Dad a simple box of hand-picked fishing lures and a printed calendar with next month's weekend circled in red. "I'll be there, I promised." He smiled wider than he ever had when I'd handed him thousands of dollars worth of vacations. Amanda's gift that evening was just as modest. A stack of free service vouchers for the retirement home where Dad volunteered, offering cuts and styling to elderly residents. "Figured I could give back to the place you care about most," she said. The room grew quiet, not awkward quiet, but warm, settled quiet. It felt like healing. Amanda and I sat on the porch later that night, a chill breeze rustling the last of the summer leaves. She sipped wine from a chipped glass, her hair tied in a messy bun instead of perfectly styled waves. "Do you know what still scares me?" she asked, voice low. "That I'll fall back into old patterns. That I'll start chasing the image again." I looked at her, really looked at her, not the Instagram persona, not the jealous sister, but the flawed, growing woman beside me. "Then I'll remind you," I said, "not by paying your bills, but by showing up, by holding you accountable, and you'll do the same for me." For a long time, neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't heavy, it was steady, like the quiet rhythm of rebuilding. Weeks later, I joined Amanda at the salon for a monthly staff meeting. The numbers were small, but for the first time, they were all green. Amanda ran her finger along the spreadsheet's bottom line, her eyes shining. "I earned this," she whispered. "Not much, but it's mine." That pride, the quiet, authentic kind, was worth more than any Jeep or marble-floored salon could ever buy. We didn't erase the past. We didn't pretend the wounds hadn't cut deep. But we carved out something new. A sisterhood no longer chained by debt or poisoned by resentment, but anchored in honesty. And maybe the most important lesson was this: sometimes the greatest gift you can give the people you love isn't solving their problems. It's believing they can face those problems themselves, and standing beside them, not in front of them. when they do. So I'll ask you, the one listening to my story, have you ever tried to help someone in a way that actually held them back? Have you ever mistaken control for love? Or pride for independence? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. Maybe your hardest lessons, like mine, can turn into someone else's roadmap for healing. Because love without boundaries isn't love, it's chains. And the day Amanda and I broke ours was the day we finally learned what being sisters truly meant.